Welcome to Two Chicks and a Horror Flick, a weekly horror movie review podcast. I'm Tawny Ray.
And I'm Felicia Connor. Subscribe to get new episodes every Wednesday. We dive into trivia, drink a little whiskey, and of course, give our no BS opinions.
Join our Discord server or message us on social media to talk all things scary.
And if you like the show, consider supporting us on Patreon.
You can find all these links on our website, twochicksandahorrorflick.com. Thanks for listening.
Now let's get scared.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about The Exorcist, the original from 1973. But also, welcome back to Felicia, who did a long work trip in a different country. So I'm so excited that you're back.
Me too. I'm so excited to be back and very excited to be recording with you as well.
God, there is nothing like laying in your bed after not laying in your bed.
Oh, yes. Yes, 100%. I returned ill, which is a bummer, but still, just being at home is just a great relief.
Totally. Yeah. Better to be ill and at home than on a plane or in a hotel.
Oh, yeah. That's 100%.
Yeah.
Facts.
So what are you drinking?
So because I've been ill and I'm taking medicine, I am drinking water.
Nice.
Yeah. Healing elixir of the gods.
Yeah. I'm also drinking water. Nice. The healing elixir of the gods. Yeah. Just drinking a lot less lately, which is awesome. I feel a lot less anxious and very good. So
yeah. When I was on my work trip for a little 2.5 weeks, I didn't have any alcohol at all. I didn't have anything, especially because I wasn't feeling well while I was there. And so I especially didn't have any alcohol. And then I got home and I think I had 2 glasses of wine. And then I didn't get sick from the wine. I had 2 glasses of wine. And then shortly after, in the following days, I got this viral infection and such. And so I have also been alcohol free.
Nice. Well, I'm sure you have so much to catch up on, or we have so much to catch up on. And I'm excited to hear from you what you've been watching, reading, listening to, or any updates that you have about travel, which there may not be. The work travel is pretty cut and dry. It seems like you go there and you come back.
Yeah, you go there, you come back. It was as far as the work I did, it was I'm a trainer or learning experience specialist, adult educator, however you want to put it, for corporations. Well, for my work specifically, and for my company. And the class was phenomenal. It was awesome because I had to train from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. And so this class was so engaged, so focused, really hungry to learn, asking questions. So that was awesome, because if it was crickets and we're at 1 a.m. and we have 6 hours to go or 5 hours to go, I don't even know how I would have made it. So they were awesome. The sad part for me personally is I was very sick. All the food was making me sick. Everything was making me sick. So at about a week and a half, I was eating 1 meal a day. I was just getting off of work and having scrambled eggs, pineapple, a pastry, orange juice, and peppermint or chamomile tea. And that's it. And that's all I was eating for the entire day. And so I think just by the time I got back, and after that 34-hour trip back, I was my body was like, okay, cool, we're shutting down.
We've made it. Now we're going to fucking rest.
Yeah. We got you here. We got you here, and it was hard. Now we're going to shut down. So, but I'm glad the actual work that I was doing, that I was sent there to do, I feel it went really well, that it was successful. So that's good.
That is good.
As far as watching stuff, and so you'd think, oh, Felicia's on this one plane flight with 16 hours on one plane. She probably watched so much stuff on the plane. I also drugged myself heavily with Dramamine. So I did watch some things. But anyways, I watched a ton of stuff while I was there. And so I am going to tell you, I'm just going to list it. You can ask me.
Yeah.
Okay. So on the plane at that 16-hour flight, I did wake up at 8 hours and had 8 hours to go and was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So
I can't even fucking imagine.
I got to do something. So I watched Hello God, It's Me, Margaret. And that was so cute. And I even teared up. So very, very cute little show.
Was that movie. Coming of age one?
Yes.
I think, yeah, that's kind of recent.
Based on the books, I think Judy Blume books, right? Yeah, very recent.
Okay.
It was very cute and heartwarming. So I like that. The Fabelmans was, I believe it's based on Steven Spielberg's life. And he is the director of it. And so it was just like, but his name wasn't like Steven I don't think. Now thinking back, I was still a little bit in and out of it, but it was really great about how this little kid wanted to be a director and then like the struggles he went through with his parents and all of this stuff. So very cool movie, The Fabelmans. I also watched of note. Oh, when I was at the hotel, I binged hardcore because I was in my room a lot. A lot. And so I binged hardcore the whole entire series of Dear Child on Netflix. And
That's right.
I really enjoyed this. I thought it was really good and interesting and spooky. I also watched, and I wanted to mention, Scouts Honor, The Secret Files of the Boy Scouts of America on Netflix. It was so superbly done, and it's a really hard watch. And I'm always like, oh, I don't know if I want to watch something like this. And I'm like, oh, that's as hard as it might be for me to watch it. How hard it was for those people to go through what they went through. And you have all of these men, and this is rare, I feel, that you see a lot of grown men coming forward talking about their abuse, right? Their CSA. Mm-hmm. And so I thought, I want to honor them. They're sharing their stories bravely, and I want to honor that. So I watched it, and it was superbly done. And oh my gosh, the Boy Scouts of America, you guys, you gotta, I think you should watch this. I know Hulu has one that came out now. I haven't seen it yet. But just how they didn't put the procedures in place to protect children. And there's some really horrific things. And so anyways, I just thought it was really well done. And the victims were very brave. I then watched Harley and Katya. So this is like these figure skaters, and it's on Netflix. All of these were on Netflix because it's all I could watch. I couldn't log into my Hulu or anything. So these are these figure skaters, and it is such a sad and touching story of these, one from Australia, one from Russia, and this poor girl, Katya, and just everything that happened and their fight to get to the Olympics. And I don't want to give anything away, but that was a really good one.
So this one was a real story.
Oh yeah, that was a real story. Boy Scouts Boy Scouts one was real. Harley and Katya was real. Then I watched the Murdaugh Murders, a Southern Scandal. That was real, and that was also superbly done. They had all the evidence, all the videos, all lined up. That SOB, sick son of a B. I am so glad he's in prison. What a disgusting human. So very interesting.
I'm not laughing about that story. I'm laughing at you censoring yourself in an otherwise
right?
very uncensored podcast.
Yes, I know. I shared with some people at work, like this new director or VP that I have a podcast. Oh, what is it? I really want some scary movie recommendations. And I was like, oh God, I should probably stop cursing. So that's what's going on in my head.
Okay, got it.
It's probably not going to last. Then I watched Confessions with a Killer, the John Wayne Gacy case. Okay, this was also very well done. It was a lot like the Night Stalker? The Night Stalker. Yes, it was very much like that. So very excellently done. Then just most recently since I've been home, we watched The Lost Boys, me and Steve. I like that movie, so that was fun to watch. Reptile, which was garbage. I was so bummed because I love Benicio del Toro, Justin Timberlake. I was very excited about this. I saw it was coming out when I got home. It was released, and I don't know. You guys tell me what you think, but I thought like, what?
That's what is it? Like what kind of genre?
It's like crime.
There's
something happens
Crime.
and who did it? And who did it? I don't know. I watched the movie and it was,
I still don't know.
It was, yeah, we didn't enjoy that at all.
Okay.
We watched The Meg 2 with TT, and that was garbage.
The Meg 2?
The Meg.
Oh, the Meg 2.
Meg 2. Sorry, The Meg 2. That was garbage. Utter
Also
garbage.
Okay.
And then we're up to date with The Continental. So those of you who are John Wick fans, this is based on, the hotel, The Continental, and how it was started and how the one guy in the John Wick movies took over that hotel. So we just watched like the first season or the first 3 episodes. There's more to come. And it was very enjoyable. I liked that a lot.
Okay.
We also watched Equalizer 3. So fun. Love it. It's so satisfying. It's, sometimes you have these movies where this person's like he's like a super slick assassin. And you're like, oh, he could kill anybody with a toothpick. But then when they're in a fight, he keeps dropping things or missing and it's so frustrating. That is not the case with Denzel Washington's character. Okay. So it's super satisfying. Equalizer 3, then we watched the other Equalizers and they're all that's a great franchise. And last but not least, I started Still Missing Morgan. And it is just about the true story of this little girl, Morgan. I'm totally forgetting her last name. I apologize. And this is on Hulu, who was kidnapped from a little league baseball game she was playing. And so they have new evidence and stuff like that. And so they're like looking at the case again to see if it's like 20 plus years later, they still haven't found her or the person.
Oh my God.
So they have like all this it's like evidence that was there, and then some things that weren't looked into as much. And so now they have been. And so I haven't finished that yet. And I mean, I hope there's like some type of resolution. So that's a rough one. But I did say to Steve, so when we used to go to the kids' softball games and the kids want to go off and play under the bleachers and stuff, I'm always like, I have to be able to see you. And he's like, honey, all the kids are playing. And yes, I'm aware that there's millions of sporting events around the world and kids are playing where the parents can't see them and they're fine. I get it. But with this one, the mom was like, no. And then her friends were like, you're being overprotective. It's fine. They play over there all the time. So she said, fine. And then she never saw her daughter again. So moms out there, just trust your instincts. Don't let people bully you.
Don't succumb to peer pressure.
That's that.
That's a lot. I mean, but it's been like 3 weeks since we've talked. So I also have a long list.
Yes. Awesome. I can't wait to hear it.
That was all great. Mostly true crime. I don't know how you did that while you were traveling.
I know. I wanted to watch, there was It Chapter 2 on the plane, and there was old, and they had a whole horror section, and I wanted to, and I felt a little weird with all the people that could see my screen. Like, what if they don't like horror and there's just like blood and graphic violence all over and they're like in that line of sight? I don't know.
Yeah.
I felt kind of self-conscious. Even things with like sex. There was one that I've wanted to see with Margot Robbie, and it's about a hotel. It's a hotel name and I'm forgetting what it is. But there's like a lot of sex. And I knew there was going to be a lot of sexual content in that one. So I felt really uncomfortable to watch that too.
I feel bad about this too. Like on plane rides, like if it's long enough to choose a movie, I worry about. Yeah, because you can see through the seats, like is there a kid behind me or what? I don't know.
One plane had just like TV stations, and it had a whole like marathon, a whole channel. My Forensic Files channel. I discovered it. I found it on the plane. I turned that on for a second, and then felt the same, so I turned it off. But
okay, so I also have a list. I'll run through mine real fast. Number 1. Jade does this thing sometimes where he just puts on movies, like, and I kind of hate it, but he like, I say sometimes, almost all the time, they're hits. They're really great movies, and it pisses me off.
Steve too.
What the fuck is that, dude? I spend so much time curating and looking and making sure, and then I pick movies and mine fucking suck. I don't know what it is.
Steve, we're watching another diving movie, like deep diving into the ocean, another one, and by the end I'm crying. Oh my God.
Yes. Oh, okay. So we put this on, and I don't even remember when it was made. But it's like it's kind of a science fiction like drama movie. It's called Stowaway. It's got Toni Collette, Anna Kendrick, and Daniel Day Kim in it. Like, I was like, how had I not seen or heard about this movie? And it was like really good. It was really good. It's about these people up in a they're doing a trip to some planet, I think Mars, or I don't remember exactly, but there's a stowaway like in the ship, and that causes a lot of problems. It's like highly recommend. It was really good. I don't even know if sci-fi maybe is the wrong word, because it wasn't super sci-fi-y, other than the fact that they were doing like interstellar travel. So I don't know. Anyway, then I watched Puppy Love, which is a romance that I think Amazon Prime did. That was fun. I liked it. Then we watched Renfield. Hated it.
Okay. I have not seen it, but I've heard that people.
No, don't recommend. It wasn't good. Pass. And then I also got sick a couple weeks ago, and was like, okay, I'm just gonna do like, I took one of the Fridays off while I was sick, and I was like, I'm gonna do a horror movie marathon. So but I wanted to catch up on 2023, specifically horror movies. So I watched, I don't know if I'm gonna say this right, Enys Men, Enysmen, but so it might be Enys Men. I don't know. I didn't like it. Very boring, very long.
Okay.
It was don't recommend. And then I watched Sick, which was on Peacock, I believe. Kind of missed that. I think it was on way earlier, or came out way earlier in the year. This was pretty fun. There was some like really fun parts. I felt like it was a good survival horror movie. So it was like satisfying. Then I watched The Offering on Hulu. Also, we decided to cancel Hulu because they're going up to like $19 per month, and everything is just going up, and it's like too expensive. So that was also part of I was like trying to watch anything that I would want to watch on Hulu, But The Offering was really good. I liked it.
Yeah, I like that one too.
Yeah, we might end up doing an episode on that at some point, I feel like.
Yeah, I would like to. I think that would be fun.
Yeah, it was really fun and different. And I liked how it felt like a little bit of a different take on possession.
Yeah.
It was like similar, but a little different. So it was good. And then we watched No One Will Save You, also on Hulu.
Oh.
Have you seen this one?
No, I haven't seen it. I saw it pop up the other day when I was looking for something to watch.
Okay. It was pretty fun. Like, I think it's definitely worth a watch.
Okay. This is the alien one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then what else? Oh, I made Jade watch Infinity Pool. I'd already seen that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know. I don't know how he feels about it. We just finished it last night. So TBD. I think that one's got to sink in. You know what I mean? That's such a weird movie. And then aside from that, I've just been watching some like random like stuff that I've already seen before, like Vampire Diaries. Started watching a couple episodes of Charmed. I was like,
oh, nice.
This is looking old, man. Like the first couple episodes, the graphics in it, rough. But those were all my things of note.
Nice.
Yeah.
Those are good ones. I think we did a good job.
Yeah. Tried to keep it quick, even though there were long lists.
Yeah, we said these are good, worth watching. These ones are not. I think that was perfect.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Are we ready to get into it?
Yeah.
I'm ready. Right. Let's fucking do it. So we're talking about The Exorcist from 1973, which it's crazy that we've had this podcast for 3.5 years.
Yes.
And we've never done The Exorcist. When we've talked about doing it before, I think we get a little gun shy. We're like, oh, that's a big boy movie, like I don't know. You really gotta like do the research. I mean, I feel this way sometimes. I'm like, oh, are we gonna do it justice? And it's like too overwhelming. But felt like it was a
sorry time. I was gonna say the same. Yeah, I agree, especially with I was I was nervous to watch it and not like it. So I'm not saying either way, but I was nervous to watch it and hate it. Kind of like how I felt with some other older movies. I don't know why. There's just something about me. I wanted to like it. I remember liking it when I first saw it, but I don't remember anything else. I don't, it's not like some memories I have of watching horror movies where I'm just like, oh, I just remember how much I was obsessed with this. So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. I was also a little nervous, and I'm still a little nervous about the research, but on a movie this big, I feel like you just can't get it all. So I focused on movie related trivia, and then Felicia is going to have some really cool stuff for our patron video that we're going to get into as well. So
yes, I am going to talk. I'm not going to get into it right now. Don't worry. But I am going to talk about the true story behind everything. There was, oh, should I go about the cursed film or the true story? Or should I just do an overview of exorcism and the history of exorcism? Dude, I was stoked to do any of these. And then I started to research the true story and was in it for hours. So
oh God, yeah.
That's what we're going to be talking about.
That's fucking awesome, because I in trying to do research for this over the last week, I had to go into the office twice. And so I listened to podcasts instead of doing research on the laptop, which I kind of prefer. But I downloaded a podcast series that was supposed to be on the true story, done by Wondery. And I started listening to it and I fucking hated it because they didn't do it like journalism. They did it they're retelling the story with somebody's the narrator and doing voices and sound effects and stuff. I'm I don't want this. I just want you to tell me what fucking happened. Yes. I don't need to be thrown into a podcast drama. Anyway, so I couldn't listen to it. So I'm glad that you did that. And I don't know anything about the true story other than there was one and it was a boy instead of a girl.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So very exciting. Okay. So I also made a note that this was released the day after Christmas on 1973, which I thought was good. It was a good choice.
Yeah, that's so good, right? It's evil.
Yes. Perfect.
Yes.
And it did really, really well. So the director was William Friedkin. I think he died earlier this year. I meant to look this up.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Ugh, sorry. Okay, he had done his most well-known movie is The French Connection.
Oh yeah.
I've never seen that though. The other one that I took a note on is he did do a movie in 2017, which is a documentary on an exorcism called The Devil. That was an autocorrect in my notes. The Devil and Father Amorth. Mm-hmm. And that just looked interesting. I haven't seen it, but I was like, oh, after you do this movie, you also do a documentary on an exorcism. That's cool.
Yeah. Yes, I want to see that now.
Yeah.
He did die August 7th of this year.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. So R.I.P. to William Friedkin.
Yes.
Who created this amazing movie. I also wanted to put a note in here who wrote it. So it's William Peter Blatty, who also wrote the novel. And like I mentioned, I listened to podcasts to do the research. So to shout them out now, I listened to the Faculty of Horror episode and I listened to Rice Smile Films episode.
Nice.
And so I don't remember exactly, I can't in my mind attribute which points of trivia I know from which episode. So if you want to get in and deeper dive, definitely go check out both of those podcasts to listen to their episodes. But from their research, I got the impression that William Friedkin actually helped William Peter Blatty write the screenplay. And so he had come to with the screenplay and it was just not well adapted for the screen and for movies. And so I think William Friedkin helped him rewrite it, which is nice, but I think it's interesting because he did win for best screenplay later. So interesting. Okay, so for cast, we've got Ellen Burstyn played Chris McNeil, the mom. We have Max von Sydow, who played Father Marin. Lee J. Cobb is Lieutenant Kinderman. Jason Miller played Father Karras. And Linda Blair, of course, played Reagan. So for scores, for IMDb gave this a 8.1 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 78% and Letterboxd a 4 out of 5. The budget for the movie was $12 million and the box office was $441.3 million.
Wow.
And it also said that this is the highest grossing Warner Brothers film of all time when adjusted for inflation. I think it also was the highest R-rated film until It, maybe?
The original It or
No, the
good one?
2017. Yeah. 2017 one. Okay, I just pulled this tiniest summary of this movie because if you don't know what this is about, I don't know what to tell you. And it says, when a young girl is possessed by a mysterious entity, her mother seeks the help of 2 Catholic priests to save her life.
This is, in fact, the movie.
And then from there, we're going to spoil the shit out of this movie for you. So that's where we're at. And now, Felicia, tell me, how did you feel about rewatching this?
All right. So I loved this movie. I loved it. Steve did too. We watched it together. It was really long. So at first when it started and it was 2 hours, I thought to myself, 2 hours? They were doing 2-hour movies back then? Like what? What? No. All right, let's watch it. And I personally thought that it wasn't slow. I was wrapped up into it. I thought it built nicely. There was just these lives of these people and the different things they were happening. I was being a little bitchy right in the beginning with the sequence of the one priest that found the devil head in, was he in the Middle East?
Iraq, I believe.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. He was in Iraq. And there was him walking to the statue that took quite a bit of time. And at one point I said, well, I found the first place they could have done some editing. Like,
yeah.
It's like, it's a long journey. Okay. But it didn't ruin it for me. But anyways, overall, I really liked it. I thought the acting, there was overacting in a very, very, what year was this again?
1973.
Yes, in a very 70s way. Also bleeding into 80s, but not in a comical, absurd way, in my opinion. I really enjoyed it. I thought Ellen Burstyn did a great job. Reagan, I just kept saying, oh my gosh, this little actress. Oh, she's so adorable. She's so good. Wow, this is incredible. And I also liked, I liked the priest. I liked it all. There were many moments where I was like, holy shit. And I looked at Steve and I'm like, can you imagine back in the 70s going to see this movie and this shit happening on the screen? And it made me evilly giggle a little bit. Like, I really liked that they pushed the envelope so far and made it so shocking, so absolutely shocking. And so, yeah, I really liked it.
Okay. Awesome. I agree totally. It feels like there's stuff in this movie that you couldn't get away with now, like that they would not allow to be in a movie in this high profile of a movie. Yeah. All
right, Tawny, how do you feel? Oh, what?
I also loved it.
You agreed all together. I wasn't gonna. You're like, I agree. I thought you just meant on like the shocking nature.
I did only mean that, but I also loved it. So, yeah. I mean, I agree that they're like. The acting is overacted for sure, but it does feel like that 70s overacted. And so it's not like the end of the world. I think I could lose some stuff. Like, I don't like the entire subplot of the detective. Like, I just get that guy out of here, get that plot out of here. We don't need it. It does feel too long. And I think that's just us like looking through the modern lens, because I felt the same way about the entire first sequence. Like, I was like, okay, get on, we get it. Where are we going here? And so I think it could be tightened up maybe a little bit. But again, that's me looking through 2023. I have a very short attention span glasses, but I hung in through the movie. It was fine. It didn't bother me really at all. The one thing I will note, though, is Jade hadn't seen it, which I am shocked by. So he was watching it for the first time and was also shocked just about like the things and the content, and some of the parts are really scary. yeah, it's just it's really crazy how well it holds up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that. It holds up really well.
Yeah. The only other thing I didn't really like is like it's kind of messy. Like it feels like the pacing is weird. Like there's these weird cuts where like we end at a really odd place in the scene, and one of those I know for sure is a cut. They cut the scene out. And so I don't know, the pacing and the editing felt weird to me. But you know what Jade said also? Jade goes, if they re-recorded the audio for this, like you could just re-release this movie as is because everything else holds up so well. It's just the sound, like the recordings that they did sound old.
Yeah.
I don't know if you felt that way too.
Yeah, I know.
It's not that it's bad, but you can tell it was like recorded in the 70s, you know? Which I feel like that would be cool to like remaster the sound and like listen at least to the sound effects. Anyway, I'm rambling. So that was great.
No, that's good.
We loved it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Do you remember, because you had seen it once before, but you said you don't remember much about. Okay.
No, but what were you going to ask me? Do I remember?
That was it. Do you remember what the experience was of watching it?
Oh, yeah, I don't. I don't even know how old I was. I don't remember any of that. I knew I'd seen it because I remember, well, actually, had I seen it? Or was this the same situation where it's so popular and different pieces, different scenes of the movie are played everywhere for every purpose, every meme that's everywhere, that I felt like I've seen it because I recognized all of these things? But I vaguely do remember the scene when Reagan comes downstairs and pees on the floor.
Okay.
And I don't think that's a super popular scene that's been everywhere. So I feel like I've seen it, but yeah, I can't attribute it to any, I have no idea when or where or how I felt about it.
Okay. I do remember watching this when I was like 17, I think. I had waited for a while. Like, I think I was a little nervous to watch it just because it seemed so scary. And like my dad snuck in to see it when he was like 12 and said it like scarred him for life. And so I was like scared of it. And I finally watched it when I was like 17, which I had watched a ton of horror up until that point. And I remember it kind of freaking me out then. So that's what's always stuck in my head, is that I remember this being good, and it scared me even though I didn't think it would. I thought it would be too old and kind of lame. So I have always had that in my mind. And coming back to it the second time, what I didn't remember was all the stuff around the exorcism, you know, like the stuff in the hospital and all of that, which I feel like is like one of the scariest and most shocking like scenes. Like for sure the one where they like, I don't even know what it is supposed to be, but they put in something in her neck.
Oh, yes.
Angioplasty or something. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, because they said at one point we're going to have to do another spinal. So I don't know if it was that.
Yeah, maybe it was a spinal.
It was fucking horrible.
Oh, it was awful. I was like, this is so terrible that it feels made up. Like it feels like they made this up for shock value, but I don't think that's true, because I know that he did have professionals come in like I think like medical people and priests to like, just make sure everything was on the up and up information wise.
Yeah, I think that was, that was just the CT scan, right? They were injecting the dye into this main
is that what it was?
This main artery, so that, when you get a CT scan, sometimes with dye, they'll inject dye into your veins so that it fills up all the veins in your brain and everything, so then that they could get a clear picture of everything. Yeah, it was horrible. I said to Steve, I'm like, this is so horrific. Aren't you so glad you didn't grow up in that time and have to have any kind of surgery or something?
Oh my God, yeah, because there's like no way that it's like this now.
No
fucking
it's not.
way.
I've had lots of CT scans.
Okay.
Because I have migraines and stuff, and I had that stroke. So no, it's not at all. They just give you an IV now. Oh my gosh. I wouldn't tell anybody. Like if I had I even thought I had a stroke, but I knew that they were going to have to like stick that thing in my throat vein.
In your fucking like, yeah. What is that called?
This artery here, this main artery. Is it called?
Jugular.
Your jugular.
Jugular artery.
Yeah. And it just, he's like, and it's like,
it was terrible.
It was terrible.
So bad.
Yeah. I don't even remember any of that either.
Yeah. And I feel like revisiting as an adult, like I there was a lot more to the movie than I remembered because it felt at the time when I was 17 just like a popcorn flick, like we're having a sleepover, because it wasn't a sleepover, like it's a horror movie, you know? Oh, that was scary. But I think as an adult, you're like, fuck, this, I mean, you start thinking about what is it like to be a mom in this situation? What's it like to be this priest who feels like, you know, his faith is waning and he's the only one that can help? Like, I don't know. There's just a lot to this. It's a great fucking movie, period.
Yeah, I love that you said the mom piece. I thought she did a great job, right? She was this actress and then completely pushed everything aside to be there for her daughter, how she started to deteriorate herself, just desperate and exhausted and just doing anything and everything possible. I thought that was great. I giggled with that priest who's like the young one, the young handsome one who's like, I want to go in and do it alone. And then they're like, well, we're going to send a vet in with you. And he's like, whatever, I don't need that. Not in so many words, but that was the vibe. He gave up like in the first 5 minutes. It started saying mean things to him about that, you know, about whatever. I forgot that girl. He was saying mean things to him about that girl that he loved a girl, right? I have this correct? What's that?
You're talking about the main,
I'm sorry, his mom. Sorry. I'm thinking of another movie that's along the same lines. Yes, his mom. And he was like, I can't anymore. And he leaves. This old guy who's about to die is just sticking with it.
Yes.
If I was that old priest, I'd be smacking that young priest around. Like, get your shit together. You run miles every day. You're super buffed out. Get on your knees and say the Hail Mary.
Yes. I also thought that was a weird moment for his character, though, because up until now, he's very adamant that, like, this is not a possession and, like, he is not somebody who's performed an exorcism before. And the way that they're portraying it is the entire church is really skeptical about this. And then they're like, who's going to do the exorcism? And he's like, me. Like, what? That came out of nowhere to me, but I don't know.
Yeah, maybe because he's a psychologist and he's like, I am, because it's not a possession.
Yeah, that would make sense, actually. But that makes me feel better.
It did come across that way, though.
Yeah.
I agree with you that it seemed like, I am going to do this serious exorcism.
Yeah. Okay, so why don't I have some just like miscellaneous trivia. God, I'm sorry, I can't talk today for some reason.
Miscellaneous trivia sounds good.
Yeah. Okay. So when this was originally released in the UK, a number of town councils imposed a complete ban on showing the film. This led to a bizarre spectacle of Exorcist bus trips where enterprising travel companies organized buses to take groups to the nearest town where the film was showing. And I thought that was fun.
It is awesome. Hey, censorship people out there, if you don't want people to see something or read something, probably don't censor it. Because as soon as you start going, I need to ban this, I need to censor this, everyone's like, oh shit, I need to get in on this. Like, I want to see what is this all about? The same thing happened to like Eminem, right? With all the people that with all the people that went, oh, ban his music. And then everyone's like, oh my God, I need to listen to this music. What's going on? Why is it so bad? We have to see this.
Yeah.
And banning books. Now there's a whole table at Barnes and Noble that says banned books. It's so stupid. Oh, I love it. I would have been on that bus. I would be like, we have to see what's causing this uproar.
I thought it was fun. Like, you'd get on a bus and like go see this really scary movie with a bunch of people in a different town or whatever.
That's so cool.
And you know, I feel like we've heard a ton about like the reaction. So it's been said that the audiences would like faint and paramedics were called to treat people who went in to see the movie. I just wonder about how overblown this may be for the same reason. Like, you know, no such thing as bad press. Like, I think it was William Friedkin who said the best thing that could happen for this movie is if the Catholic Church comes out and denounces it. So it's like the more press it gets, the better for the movie. So I just wonder. I mean,
yeah, were people really throwing up and fainting?
Yeah.
I thought I had saw something where there was someone that was there at the time and they said it wasn't really that bad. But I wasn't, I think my eyes passed over it because that's not what I was researching. So I didn't read it, but so I could be wrong on that.
I'm sure somebody somewhere did
there's
pass out.
Somebody who's lighthearted. That's a good thing, but who's sensitive.
Yes.
Fainted.
Didn't eat that day. I mean, it's just like, does this happen twice and get overblown? Who knows? But I mean, it was a shocking, not to take anything away from the fact that it was such a shocking movie at the time, because it's a shocking movie now. Like what, 40 something ish years later? Am I doing that math right?
Yeah. I was not even going to comment on the math. I was going to, so.
Trying to do a quick count in my head. Yeah.
Maybe the amount of I did wish she would stop puking. It was gross.
Yeah, I was over that.
But you'd have to be really have what is that? A weak stomach. There we go. A weak stomach to, I don't know. We've seen some pretty sick stuff, and some stuff there was one where I actually gagged, actually. What was that? Do you remember? There was a movie where I said I actually gagged. Oh, I do remember, because it makes me want to right now. It was from Infinity Pool, the nipple ooze.
Oh, yeah.
I still feel but I'm not actually physically going to run to the bathroom and throw up,
Yes. Yeah, totally. We got past that scene and I was like, congratulations, Jade. You've made it through the worst of the body horror in this movie.
Yes. Oh.
You can make it. Okay. I thought this was interesting. I'm pretty sure that this is the first exorcism movie. And I found a note that says, according to William Peter Blatty, Warner Brothers wanted to change the title of the film after taking a survey which found none of the participants knew what an exorcist was.
Ooh, really? Because I did start to look up exorcism, and this has been around for, centuries. Centuries and centuries.
Wasn't there a panic in the 80s? Or no, I guess that would be after this.
But there was stories of exorcisms back in the 40s and 50s.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know how much I believe that. Because you don't know at all what an exorcism is? I don't know.
Yeah, it's odd.
Or did this really truly put exorcisms so in the zeitgeist that now we know and everybody knows what it is, but maybe they didn't before 1973? Who fucking knows?
You know what? That's possible, because these exorcisms that were done, I don't think were huge plastered everywhere that it was happening. So between the priests and the families, and then, so maybe majority of people who didn't need an exorcist and who wasn't super religious wouldn't know.
Yeah. That is one of the things that I felt was really interesting in the Faculty of Horror episode that I listened to, is one of those hosts has a friend who actually did experience an exorcism when she was young. And it was, the interesting part about it to me was that there was sort of this religious group that they were in. And so the women would come over and act out and sort of, and have these exorcisms done to them. And so at some point she broke a vase or something, and her mom was like, you need an exorcism. And so they gave her one, whatever that looked like. And she did start yelling cuss words and stuff. And in the podcast, they said, it's interesting because you can look at it as it's an opportunity for these women who were otherwise very suppressed to act out in kind of a safe way, because it's oh, it's not me. It's evil spirits or the devil or whatever. And then I just get this exorcism, I'm good to go, And so I thought that was interesting. An interesting way of thinking about it.
Yeah, that is very interesting. And it's also interesting. I'm sorry, I just went back also to the fact that people didn't know about exorcism, but they knew about witches and the thought that a witch can control you, and witches were in league with the devil and demonic possession, but not exorcism.
Yeah. It does feel like exorcisms were the witch hunt of the later times, probably 70s, 80s.
And that's a fascinating story about her friend. I wonder if anybody's doing that nowadays.
Oh, I fucking bet. Are you kidding? Like,
Oh yeah, especially probably in a lot of other countries and stuff too.
and like religious, like ultra religious, probably like little, sects or groups, I'm sure.
Actually, yeah, it's very much like those televangelists where somebody comes forward and is like, I'm sick. And then they like place a hand and the person's like, blah, blah, blah,
Totally.
and starts shaking around and then falls on the ground and is like, I'm better. That's kind of like the same idea.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing. I mean, I don't know. I've never done it, but I would think. I did make a note just on the awards because I feel like we have to say it. So this was the first horror film nominated for the Academy Award for Best Picture. It didn't win, though.
Who won? Do you know?
I fucking don't. And I should have looked it up. I thought about it and I forgot. Felicia's going to look it up.
Yes.
I will say that it did win 2 Academy Awards for Best Screenplay and Best Sound. And it won 4 Golden Globes for Best Motion Picture, Best Supporting Actor for Linda Blair, Best Director, and Best Screenplay.
Oh, nice. Ooh, it won a lot of awards. That's awesome. Yeah. Oh, nope. Sorry.
What was it?
It says The Silence of the Lambs, but then says is the only horror film to win Best Picture. And so at first I was like, that was dumb. Who won Best Picture? The Sting. It was like a heist movie.
I don't even know what that is, so
there we go.
Clearly, The Exorcist should have won.
Yes. Sorry,
I've never even heard of that movie. Okay, from there I have like just different sections of trivia. Like I have like production trivia, some stuff about the story, and some stuff about like actors and the shooting. So I don't know like the shooting of it. So I don't know where you want to start, maybe. If you have some personal notes that you want to hit first.
I know all my personal notes were just all these different things that I loved about this movie. I actually have this, that old MRI is horrific. I have all of these notes like that. And one note I have is imagine having your kid in this movie. If like your kid was that little girl. Oh, she's an actress though. And she's doing and saying some of the...
That was weird.
I think I went like this and Zoom decided to give me a little thumbs up. Okay. That they had to act and say those things. Oof. But no, I love the movie. Let's get into, I don't know, wherever you want to start. I'm game.
I do have a note about that maybe. So I have heard that Linda Blair, like continues to be adamant that she is not scarred by this experience, which is good. But I did hear some like not great things about the way that the director interacted with some of the other actors.
Yes.
So that's kind of where we'll go next. So,
yeah.
Jason Miller had a verbal confrontation with William Friedkin after the director fired a gun near his ear to get an authentic reaction from him. He told Friedkin that he was an actor and that he didn't need a gun to act surprised or startled, which I liked.
That's awesome.
Because I always hate this. Like we talked about this for The Shining. Like I think if you have to really push people to the point of breaking their psyche, like you're probably not doing a good job of directing.
Yeah, I heard this guy was just like, just absolutely insane.
Yeah. And the weird thing is like, I feel like I've gotten different stories. Like it seems like Linda Blair felt fine with it and he probably was like very sensitive to that. But then I also have heard that like people kind of didn't get the credit that was due. So another actress, Mercedes McCambridge, provided the voice of the demon or part of the voice of the demon. I have this note about like method acting. It says that she insisted on swallowing raw eggs and chain smoking to alter her vocalizations. And she had problems with alcohol abuse in the past and wanted to drink whiskey as she knew alcohol would distort her voice even more. So I think she was in the process of getting sober and she insisted that her priest be present to counsel her so that she could like drink and do all of this stuff to be a method actor. It says at William Friedkin's direction, McCambridge was also bound to a chair with pieces of torn sheet at her neck, arms, wrists, and legs. to get a more realistic sound of the demon struggling against its restraints. McCambridge later recalled the experience as one of horrific rage, while Friedkin admitted that her performance, as well as the extremes which the actress put herself through to gain authenticity, terrified the director. So it's hard because it's like, I don't know, and I didn't like do further research into like, did she choose to do all of this, or was she pushed by him?
Yeah, that sounds like she chose it. Except that comment about rage.
Yeah.
Unless she just like, she got herself to a point where she was constantly in rage, which would
would kind of make sense.
Which would make sense for the devil.
Yeah, but like with him pushing everybody else on the set, like I'm more likely to believe that he like pushed her to do kind of insane stuff for this result. I also read that she had to sue Warner Brothers for credit as the voice of the demon. William Friedkin said she originally didn't want a credit, saying that she wanted the audience to believe her voice was Reagan's and that she changed her mind later. But again, I can't help but feel like that doesn't seem to make sense to me. Yeah.
No way. You get the chance to be in a movie, period. You're pounding the pavement to be an actor, voice actor, whatever it is you're trying to be. You get in the movie and you're like, they want to give you credit. They want to give you a credit. And you say, nah, I want them to think it's all Reagan.
And you go through this insane level of like method acting where you're swallowing raw eggs and drinking, even though you're trying to get sober. And then you're like, I want people to believe it was her. Like, no.
Come on.
You're right. I was like, that does not fucking add up. But
I heard he slapped people to get reactions out of them and stuff like this.
I think, he slapped the priest at the end, Father Dyer, to get him to look really upset. Just like, again, if you can't like get people there, and one of the other ones I read too was that he like the vomit into the face of Father Marin was supposed to hit him in the chest. He thought they told him it was going to hit him in the chest and they hit him in the face instead to get a reaction.
Oh, sorry.
I liked his reaction. I felt like he actually didn't react, and I thought that was nice because I was like, this guy clearly has seen some shit and he doesn't care about getting vomit in the face,
Oh my God.
So I don't know.
They had the thing too about, maybe you were going to say this, but about the two getting hurt, like Reagan and the mom.
Yeah, what's interesting is I always thought that like Reagan or Linda Blair broke her back when she was like
doing the thing up and down. Yeah, right. Yeah.
But I didn't find that in the trivia. Instead, I found this note that says Ellen Burstyn, the mom, received a permanent spinal injury during filming. In the sequence where she's thrown away from her possessed daughter, a harness jerked her away hard from the bed and she fractured her coccyx and screamed in pain. And that was used in the film, which she was upset about.
Oh, but because it was real. You know where I think we heard that? In that series, Cursed Films.
Oh, okay.
I think that's where we heard, because I remember the same thing, that machine for the little girl, that she got hurt, and then that the mom got hurt too when she was flung back into the window. And I think that's where we heard it.
Okay. I was like, maybe I just misunderstood that point of trivia because I didn't find it anywhere on IMDb at least.
Yeah, I didn't either, because at first when I was looking, I was going to look up the cursed film angle. So I was looking, I was like, oh, there's really not that much. Like that, that make it be like a cursed film.
Yeah, I don't remember. Maybe we can do like a real quick cursed, because I do have one note on it.
Cool.
But aside, the one about the guy who went on to be like a murderer or whatever. So I'll read through that in a sec.
Ooh, yeah.
But there was also something about like at the premiere, lightning struck a like cross or something and it fell down into the like parking lot. Is this ringing a bell?
Did this really happen?
I think so. Yeah.
I didn't see anything about that.
Okay.
That's cool.
I could be mixing it up with a different movie, but I'm pretty sure it was The Exorcist. And what was the other thing? There's one other thing about. Do you remember from just glancing at it?
Yes, there was this bird flew into a piece of equipment and caused a fire.
Oh, okay.
Which they're like, that's weird. And then there was someone's family member had passed away. But I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, it
very
didn't,
unrelated.
None of them seemed incredibly like, oh my gosh, that's weird. Not like The Omen. Like The Omen has some that are pretty interesting, but yeah, and then people getting hurt on set, which again, that happens, and especially if you have a director who's like that, that's
totally like that's kind of what I chalk it up to. Is it sounds like this person didn't care as much about like their well-being, and so of course you're gonna get hurt. You got people in fucking harnesses and things to move them around, and you seem to not be careful about it. So.
Oh yeah, and the very last thing. So I didn't see anything about the lightning. There's lightning that struck for The Omen.
Okay, but maybe that's what I was mixing it up with. Yeah.
The other thing for The Exorcist was the mass hysteria, people throwing up and vomiting and stuff. So that was the other thing that attributed to being cursed.
Gotcha. Okay. So this is the one that I think is the most interesting of all of the cursed things. And I just grabbed this blurb from IMDb, so I don't have any further information. But it says, in the arteriogram, that must be what that one of those procedures is. In the arteriogram scene, the bearded man who assists the doctor is Paul Bateson. He was an X-ray tech at NYU Medical Center where the scene was shot and managed to get that small part. In 1979, he was convicted of the murder of a film critic and was sentenced to 20 years in prison. However, he bragged about and was a suspect in the murders of 6 men who he said he picked up in gay bars, had sex with them, and then murdered and dismembered their bodies and put them into plastic bags, quote unquote, for fun, in 1977 and 78. They were known as the Bag Murders. Although investigators believed his story, he was never officially charged, and those murders have technically never been solved. Bateson was released from prison in 2004.
Oh.
And then, even further, the whole story revolving these murders was later fictionalized in Cruising from 1980, which is also directed by William Friedkin.
Ooh, that gives me cold chills. They were like working with this guy side by side, and he's just like, yeah, I like murdering people and putting them in bags, but no one knew.
For years after.
For years. That's creepy.
Yeah. I mean, who knows if he really did it, you know? I could also see somebody bragging in prison.
Yeah, they do that once they do that. There has been instances where, yeah, the inmates are like, oh, I did this and that. And it's proven later that they hadn't. But that's very creepy. Again, though, I don't feel like that. When I think of cursed film, I think of, and I believe this is how we're supposed to think of it, that the subject matter of the film is so evil that it is attracting evil forces or cursed by God or something like that. So these crazy things happen, like when the people break into those King Tut tombs and stuff like that, and they all die mysteriously, or, you know, just different things. You are cursed now because you are making a movie about the devil and you're bringing in all this evil stuff. So you're inviting that evil entity. Not like trippy coincidence that they hired a serial killer to be an actor in the film.
Totally. I agree. It feels like the like Poltergeist. You know, we've done an episode on that. The Poltergeist stuff seems more compelling to me.
I agree.
Than this one.
Unless the serial killer went and killed everybody when the film was done. Maybe. I mean, killed everyone in the movie. That's what I meant.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Then that would be pretty cursed.
That would be, I would call that cursed. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so let's get into some of the trivia that I have about like the story. And some of that is about like the story in the book and just information that was like cut out from scenes and stuff. So I have in the extended director's cut, Father Marin asks Chris for her daughter's middle name. In the Middle Ages, Catholics used to give their children several names as they believed it would hinder demons from finding out the child's real name and controlling one's soul.
Oh.
I thought you would know
Is that why we have middle names?
I don't know.
The long pause.
I was like,
is that the origin of middle names?
I would be surprised.
Or is it like a lot of times with, actually, now that I think about it, countries that are primarily Catholic, like people have many names. My name is da 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 da, like several names. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
I was trying to think of anybody Catholic that I knew. I was like,
yeah, I just know very, I guess modern Catholics, the 3 names, right? First name, middle name, surname. But then I know people who are not Catholic who have the same.
So I just thought that was interesting. Something else about names. So the demon seen but not named throughout the film is called Pazuzu, a demon known in Assyrian and Babylonian mythology as the demon that brings famine during the dry seasons and locusts during the rainy season. He was the king of the demons of the wind. And it can be interpreted that Reagan's bedroom window is open at the beginning of the film because he is, in fact, the demon of the southwest wind. It can also be interpreted as the deaths of Burke Denning, the director, and Father Karras's death later on in the film.
So with the devil sequence in the beginning, I questioned this as well. Because he unearthed that little head, now the devil was released and somehow made it all the way to Washington, and that's where they were, right? Washington, and like go into that little girl. I don't think so. Was it just to make him an expert in the devil, like establish him as the expert? So when he's introduced later, we are like, oh yeah, that's that guy that's dug up that devil head, which I don't think is needed because all you need is he is an expert. He's done this many times. Cool. I'm bought in. Like we didn't need the beginning. And then the last thing I have, which there'll be no answer. You might have one for the other 2 questions, but when there's possession, I always wonder why if possession was real, why this person? Like why? There's not any reason. It just happens. And so, yeah, those are my questions.
Let me address the last one first.
Oh, okay.
Because I have a note about it. Okay, I thought I took a note on this, but I must have deleted it. So I am going to just go by memory. On that last one, there is a scene in the movie where during the exorcism, Father Marin and Father Karras are talking to each other about, why is this happening? And I think Father Karras asks, why this girl? And Father Marin says it's basically to like shake your faith. It's to make you feel like God isn't there, basically. Like I'm really paraphrasing here, but it's the insinuation there is that like it is kind of random. It's just, you possess this very sweet, innocent young girl, and that is what shakes your faith. Because how can God exist if this can happen to this little girl? So, but William Friedkin took it out in the editing process because he felt like the entire movie's point is that point. He felt like it was obvious enough. When they released like the extended director's cut in I think 2000, he put it back in. He put the scene back in as a favor to William Peter Blatty because he this was this is probably the biggest movie of his entire career. And I think he felt like he owed it to the person who wrote the original book, to do that. So
that's cool. Okay. I did see like the shaking of the faith and the little girl, but I still was like, why though? Why her? But that does make sense. So it is random, completely random, but who the person or who the demon chooses is usually someone just innocent and young and pure, because that's ultimate evil, like ultimately
Right.
evil thing to do. Okay.
And something else that I thought of note that kind of ties into that, in the Faculty of Horror episode, they talked about how they came across an excerpt about how William Friedkin was a really big fan of, like, I think a British playwright at the time. And this person was known for writing stories that really did not spell things out for you. There were just like events that happened throughout the story, and you really had to put things together. There just wasn't a whole lot of hand holding as far as telling you. And I think that makes sense when you look at this movie through that lens, because that's how this movie operates too, is there are events and scenes that happen and you're left to connect those dots on your own, which I kind of like. And I feel like helps it feel, it helps with the staying power of this movie. So I don't know that we get a full answer to your first couple questions, but the impression I got was that Father Merrin did unearth this demon. Like, it was somehow trapped in that like idol, the little like sculpture, because wasn't it buried with the little like coin on the chain? I think that was
it was like a
keeping it at bay.
modern day chain, right? It was buried. Yes, it was buried.
So I think that was like keeping it, you know, contained somehow, the demon. And when he dug that up, he set it free.
Mm.
And then how it gets to Regan, we don't know, because there's a few scenes. We have a scene with a Ouija board. We have the scratching around in the attic and the window being open. So you don't know.
All right. This is good. Good stuff.
Yeah. I found that really interesting, the thing about like liking this play, right, with the not explaining things, because it makes so much more sense. Because I'm watching the movie and I'm thinking, well, didn't they say, weren't they just really explicit about the fact that he like dug up this demon and it found her? But no.
One piece that I got really confused on, and I don't know if I looked away for a minute, I didn't realize when that so when that cop started coming around, I was like, why is this cop bugging them? And then they say something about the director of the movie that the mom was in fell from Reagan's window. And I very specifically remember this. I was so confused. I didn't realize that's where he fell from, because she was driving. She drove past like the big steps and this huge building. It looked like I thought it was a university that they were filming at, right? That university. And there was all these cops and everything because he had died. She goes down the street and around the corner and pulls into her house. So so then when they were started to talk about Reagan pushed him from the window, I was like, was she at the school? Like, I was so freaking confused. And then someone said, well, why was he in Reagan's room? And I'm like, why was the director in Reagan's room? Why did he go back to the house and sneak into her room? I was massively and still am confused about this whole piece here.
Yeah, I don't think you're alone. I was also confused about this because they say, oh, did you hear that this guy died? They are like, oh, he's supposed to be watching her. Did you hear this guy died? So then I'm thinking, oh, he like left the house, like walked down the street, then fell down some stairs and died.
Tawny, yes, I'm sorry. Yes, the friend comes and goes, oh, you haven't heard. You would think she would have heard if he flew out of her kid's window.
Right. It's weird. This whole sequence is very weird, and it doesn't make sense to me either. And I think like spatially, it's very confusing, and they do a bad job of like showing you, because then you do see the stairs. And I think at that point I saw the stairs and I was thinking, oh yeah, that is far away from them. Like, I just thought he left the house, like went way far away and then fell down those things. But then you see the window open and Father Karras at the end, like dive out, and he falls down those stairs. So I was like, okay. I see. There's a front of this house that looks completely fucking different than like the back or the side. And that is where this like big staircase is. It's
Yeah.
like the back or the side of this house, but it also is set next to like in like not a very neighborhood like place, right? There's the like there's the school or whatever.
The church.
It's like fucking weird spatially.
Yeah. Okay. So back in your bathroom, someone's brutally murdered, right? You haven't found out yet. And I come over to your house and I'm like, gosh, Tawny, I'm so sorry. And you're like, what? Oh, you haven't heard, you know, our friend so-and-so passed away. They died. And you're like, no, not, they died in your bathroom. Like you didn't know that they're dead in there. Like, where have you been? Your little kid might have pushed this person out of the window. No, they're just like, oh, shoot, you haven't heard. Okay.
It is weird.
So weird.
So
this is really
weird.
Poorly done. And because I still don't even understand. And so I agree with your very beginning comment. That whole thing with the director dying and the cop snooping around, and the cop was absurd. Sorry. But the cop snooping around, me too. And the director dying could have been completely removed and it wouldn't have affected the overall movie at all.
No, I agree. Like there's a lot of this that I think is really doesn't have any kind of bearing on the end of the movie. And fucking we don't need another mystery in this movie about like who killed not father, but who killed Burke Dennings? Like, was it Reagan or was it the like butler guy who he like called a Nazi earlier in the, you know, because you're kind of left. This is again one of those things where just events are dropped in and you're kind of left like, what happened? I don't know, but we don't need another fucking mystery. So
that director was just ridiculous. He's just like harassing this poor man. I didn't even put those two pieces together because I didn't even realize he fell out of that window. But I know I said to Steve, maybe he should have been pushed out the window. Why is he in a little girl's room in the middle of the night?
That's what I was like. What a weird situation. Like in the beginning of the movie, Reagan and her mom have a conversation about, she's like, oh, you like him and it's okay if you like him. And she's very much like, I don't like him like your father. You don't have to worry about that. And I was like, oh, she really does. You know, this girl's picking up on her having like a relationship with this director. But then later in the movie, he gets like sloshed at the party. And I was like, oh, yeah, no, this is not.
No.
So they're not like dating. He's just around. And I was getting the impression that she just is around him because he's the director. So she has to just make nice with this guy because she has to work with him.
And he's wasted. He leaves. And then at some point comes back and sneaks up to this little girl's bedroom.
No, I think the thing is he's just there, like watching her. And she does push him out of the window. And he flies out the window down those stairs. Dies.
I just remember him being super drunk and them opening the door and they're shutting the door on him. He's like, blah, 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 blah. And then they shut the door.
Yeah, but that's earlier in the movie. Oh, this is like a different time later.
They had this whole scene. I don't even remember this.
Well, no, there is no scene, but I think it's implied that it's a different time. Like it's a different day.
Gotcha. Sorry. Okay.
And you never see him. They do just say, Burke was here watching Reagan. And he's like not there.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Which is still creepy though. Why is he here watching Reagan? Oh, just helping out as a friend because
I guess the relationship just doesn't seem to be there.
Yeah.
You're going to let this fucking drunkard come in and watch your
kid
sleeping possessed daughter?
You're right. Because the girl was that one woman was watching Reagan, like her assistant. And she was like, oh, he was watching her to like take her place, right? While she ran some errands or something. Okay. This is all coming back to me. Sorry. Okay.
Yes. No, it's okay because it's like, it doesn't really make sense, even trying to follow it. And then the scene is really weird. So this is another note I have. At the end of the scene, right, the guy comes in, oh, you didn't hear? He died. Big reveal. And she's like, damn it, you know, cut. That's the end of the fucking scene. And it was such a weird ending. So we get to the end of the movie and I'm like, what the fuck happened to the spider walk scene? The stairs. Do you remember seeing this?
No, but I read something about that. But do you have it?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Okay. So you must have seen it.
I remember. Yes, I totally remember this. And when it wasn't in this one, I thought, oh, was this like in a different Exorcist that I'm blending them together?
No, it was in this movie. And this is another one of those scenes that was like cut out. Okay, I'll just read this. Actually, the contortionist Ann Miles was hired to perform the spider walk, which was filmed. Who cares? Okay. The contortionist Ann Miles was hired to perform the famous spider walk. Miss Miles was able to perform the scene by use of a harness and flying wires hung above the staircase used on set. She would advise William Friedkin when she was just barely touching the stairs with her hands and feet, and then she maintained that light touch as she was moved down the staircase with the harness and wires. Friedkin deleted the scene for the December release. He felt it was too much of an effect because it appeared so early in the film. He later admitted that another reason was that there was no way to hide the wires from view at the time. So, 30 years later, Friedkin changed his mind and added the scene back in for the 2000 version where we could digitally remove the wires.
Oh, that's interesting. Because I had only read that he removed it because it was so, she was so obviously possessed and it was so early in the film that, of course, why wouldn't the mother immediately go to seek a priest? Because obviously it's not psychological. But I bet that was mainly because the wires, and which is good because that would have been really terrible.
Yeah, it would have been lame. I do remember, this is the one thing that I remember the most from my first watch of this movie, though, when I was like 17. I remember this being fucking scary.
Yeah.
This scared me. I don't think it holds up as well, honestly, as a scene. Like, because I found it on YouTube. I was like, Jade, you have to watch the spider walk scene. Like, I can't believe it wasn't in that movie. Let me pull it up for you. So maybe it's just watching it on its own doesn't have the same effect. Like within the movie, maybe it would have been cool, but I don't know. It didn't hold up as well as I.
Oh, okay. I didn't go back to look. I want to now, though.
Yeah, I can find it and post it also in our Discord. But yeah, that makes sense also for the cutting of the movie because that scene just ends and then you're like, what? Where are we?
Where are we now?
Can we talk shit about this fucking cop guy? All of us were lost about like how the fuck he was tying this. Like there's some kind of statue thing happening at the church where somebody. What's the word I'm looking for? Oh
God, that statue defaced. Desecrated.
Desecrated one of the statues, which they show for about half a second. I was like, I couldn't even see actually what was going on. It was so fast.
It was so crazy though. Like, oh my God. I looked at Steve. I was like, they took a statue of Mary and they did that, put that penis and those boobs on her and stuff. Oh my God.
But how are you like taking that and you're as a detective and you're connecting that with some guy who fell down the stairs and his head was turned around back? It was just so tenuous.
Stupid.
Dumb.
No. It was all dumb. It made no sense. And he was going around, hey, like he was so overacted and like stupid. And I didn't like him at all.
Me either. The way he like talked to people and even just like his interaction with Chris and he's like, oh, can I have a signature? I'm just kidding, it's for me, like I lied, it's for me. I was just like, this guy is creepy. Get this fucking creepy guy out of here.
Yes, I agree.
No thanks.
He did not need a place in the film.
No. Okay, I had one more I thought interesting note on just when I said story earlier, I guess I didn't mean the story of this movie necessarily, but kind of how it ties in to other stories like in the Bible and stuff.
Ooh, yay. Okay.
So I thought this was just cool. It says the sound of the demon leaving Reagan's body is actually the sound of pigs being herded for slaughter. This alludes to a story in the New Testament where Jesus cast out several demons, collectively called Legion, from a man and transfers them into the bodies of pigs. The pigs are then drowned, similar to Father Karras dying after accepting the demon.
Wow. That is very interesting and very cool piece of trivia.
Yeah. Okay, Bible.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, now I just want to go
interesting story.
Look in the Bible for this pig demon possession.
Yeah. I mean, admittedly, I'm not very well versed in religious stories at all. So it makes sense for me to not know that. But I was like, wow, that's interesting. I have another question for you as somebody who doesn't know anything about
I didn't know anything about
religious
that pig thing.
things. What's going on with these priests? Okay. Are Jesuit priests just like the party priesthood? Like, I was so interested to see all these priests hanging out with all these actors and like drinking and smoking and like playing piano into the night.
I know, right? I know. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, priests behind the curtains, like what they're doing behind the curtains. But you see them depicted that way a lot in movies, you know, like priests by day, but just like regular guys by night. Not regular guys, I mean, to an extent, like not, still celibate is what I'm trying to say. But I don't think like drinking is necessarily super bad, especially back then, for priests. So yeah, they're a fun lot.
I fucking guess. I should be partying with priests, I guess. Or just these specific Jesuit priests. I didn't like dislike it. It just was weird because I've never seen in movies this show. Like, I feel like priests are always very like sequestered and serious, and they're just there to be a priest, and then they go and they sit in their house quietly, which I know is probably unreasonable, thinking about them as human beings. I'm sure that's not how it works. But I had never seen this, and so I thought it was just weird to me.
Yeah, I don't know for sure, but that was my impression as well. Is this particular priest was very much, he was a partier. I don't know necessarily if that is okay. Like, in the sense that if other priests were like, well, that guy is a bit of a partier and he should probably cool it. He should probably tone it down. Because priests typically, from my impression and from different priests I've known, when I was, Catholic and going to Catholic school and stuff like that, they're so inundated with service to the community. So like if you're invited to someone's house for dinner, they're going to people's homes for dinner and just getting to know the community better, but not like partying. I don't think there would be anything wrong with having a glass of whiskey or having a glass of wine, but not getting wasted and like all of that. But going to people's homes for dinner, they're invited, doing different stuff for the church, doing different stuff for the community, organizing events, all different sort of stuff like that. Then you have like monks that are cloistered, like cloistered nuns. Not all nuns are cloistered, right? They live usually on the church grounds, which I believe these priests did too, but they interact a lot with the community. But I don't think they necessarily party with them.
Yeah. It just seemed like
it struck me too. I was like, wow, okay. It's like not so bad being a priest, minus the, he can't have sex thing. But other than that, life is normal.
You have to be celibate, but guess what? You can run laps around the track. You can drink, smoke, play piano.
Yeah, play cards. They were playing cards in one of the rooms, right, when he was walking through. It was almost like a military barracks was the feeling I got. Like how the guys were all hanging out, playing cards, and that camaraderie.
Yeah. It was weird, but I liked it. I was like, okay, these people are just normal people,
Yeah.
Especially Father Karras, who was very unpriest-like on purpose, it felt like.
Yeah.
Okay, I just have some other like random production trivia notes, but I also have like a few things about themes if we want to get into that. I don't know. Do you have any other personal notes?
I don't. I don't keep saying that. I liked it. I liked the effects. I thought that nowadays the wounds on the face and stuff would look a lot more realistic. However, I don't think they looked bad or looked terrible. I thought they held up really well. The graphics did, the stuff she's saying. I just really enjoyed this movie.
Me too. I agree on the makeup. And that's one of my production trivia notes that I have is According to Friedkin, the subliminal shots of the white-faced demon are actually rejected makeup tests for Reagan's possessed appearance.
Oh, interesting.
Did you see them as you were watching them?
Yes, I saw it a couple times, super fast.
I only saw one. I only caught one.
There was a couple times that it happened. I only caught two, so if there was more, I only caught the two.
Oh, maybe I only caught two also, because I forgot there was one during the exorcism, and then the one during his dream.
Yes.
Okay.
That's all I saw.
Yeah, I wonder if there's another one, maybe. That scared the shit out of me when I was 17 and watching this for the first time. It freaked me out. Okay, so I'll just talk about some of the like the reception, because I thought it was interesting. And a note before we get into this, I had heard through that Faculty of Horror episode that William Peter Blatty, I couldn't like find anything on this. I tried to do a little bit more research on it, but he is a Catholic, and so I'm pretty sure he was a Catholic, and he has talked about how he did want this movie to be like, it is kind of religious propaganda. Like, that was the goal, is that, you know, you're scaring people into thinking that this is a possibility, so you turn to religion to solve that. Which I find really interesting, because I know that that's the plot of this movie, but I don't feel that when I watch it, even though it's very blatant in the way that it is saying, but it's kind of fucking not. I don't know. I'm curious to know your read on this.
Okay, so I actually said this out loud to Steve. I said, if this happened to me, I would hands down become Catholic. I would be the most devout Catholic in the frickin' world. 100%. All of us Catholic. Everyone forced to be Catholic. This really happened. Like, I knew for a fact that demon possession was real, and Catholic priests could come in with their prayers and exorcise demons from humans. Like, not even that didn't even have to happen to me. I just knew that this was a fact. I would absolutely be Catholic, 100%.
Okay. But doesn't this happen?
I think that does it?
Yeah, good question.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm obviously a skeptic about it.
I'm a skeptic too. So I would have to know that this happens, because a part of me is very conflicted, because if this happens, this changes everything. Everything. This means there are demons and possibly a devil, which I don't believe in this. This means that things can enter your body and possess you, which is I'm on the fence about, which if there is a devil and demons, then what is their role? Then there's definitely a God. There's something working through these priests. There's some kind of connection there that helps to fight these demons. So then does that mean there's heaven and hell? So is that true now? There's heaven and hell? Well, shit. Now what do we do?
Yeah.
Like, there's just so what else? What else is true? It just blows everything. Like, who even cares about manifestation or do I have the job that I really like? Like, who gives a shit? There's like way bigger things happening here. And your whole life should be focused and dedicated to being Catholic and praying and God. Because
not getting possessed.
And then once you're dead, like, where do you go? So now this is people, real people. This is what they believe. And that's why they're so devout. Right. Yeah. So if that is true, oh, shit, I my whole world has changed.
There's a deleted scene of Chris saying to Father Dyer at the end that she now believes I think it's like, she doesn't know if she believes in God, but she definitely believes in the devil. And that was one of those cut scenes that I feel like it's a great line.
That is a great line. But how could you not believe in God? Because your daughter was exorcised by men who have been, they're priests. But what does that mean? They've learned the Bible, the holy water. All of this is real. What's making it holy? Look, I mean, It's not just what. Why are the prayers holy? Why is the Bible holy? Why?
Yeah.
It's something outside of human. It's not just like because the person who wrote the Bible was like a really good author. It's not like Stephen King has this power, could come in and start reading like Pet Sematary over someone and they get expelled. There's something else. There's
maybe. Who knows?
There's got to be. I guess they didn't call Stephen King. He didn't do any exorcisms. You're right. Maybe it's just really good writing.
I think in the end, though, the thing that's interesting to me is like, yes, this movie is very much advocating for religion in some way. But in the end, to me, the fact that the actual exorcism is not what cast out this demon, it's that Father Karras takes on the demon and kills himself. That, to me, it doesn't say to me that religion is the thing that helped her. It was like Father Karras's goodness and his willingness and his want to help her, especially in the face of what happened with his mom, where he feels guilty, like he doesn't want to fail another person. And so to me, that in the end, it feels like it's actually not about God. It's about like the goodness, good and evil in that way, not in like the biblical sense.
I have a little pushback on that tiny bit, only because the devil asked for a priest. Get the priest. He specifically wanted a priest. So.
But why would it want a priest?
Exactly. So there has to be something specific with a man of God.
But he like ends up killing him. Well,
he kills himself to kill.
Sorry, I mean Father Merrin.
Yeah. So he has him and then he kills himself. But
no, but that's the demon asks for Father Merrin, and then Father Merrin ends up dying in the process of this.
Probably because Father Merrin, maybe he felt was shakeable because he was already having doubts versus this old guy who's done so many exorcisms.
Father Karras is the one with doubts.
Sorry. Yes. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Father Merrin is the old guy.
Is the old guy. Okay. So he asked for Father Merrin, sorry. Yeah, I think that is such a challenge. You have a true man of God who's expelled the devil multiple times from what they made it sound like. He's done many exorcisms. So it's almost like a battle of good and evil. This priest, this man of God, having defeated the devil many times in exorcisms. And now this, like, he wants him again, the battle again.
Yeah, totally.
But that's so scary that he's just constantly exorcising the demon out of people and it just keeps hopping people.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And that does suck. And I think, in the end, I haven't seen any of the sequels, but I think there is a sequel where it is supposed to hop or something. Like this demon lives on beyond this moment. It's not like, he dies from jumping out the window. But if we just look at the one movie by itself, I feel like it's not that religious. It doesn't feel like religious propaganda to me, even though it is pretty heavy-handed all the way through the movie in the way that it's like science is failing her. The only answer is religion.
Oh, I see. I don't disagree with you on that. I didn't see it either. I know the Catholic Church liked this movie because it was very supportive of their like practices and their beliefs and stuff. But I didn't see it as propaganda at all. I get what you're saying now. I didn't sit there and go, oh my God, you're shoving this down my throat that yes, you need to find religion. I didn't. Just classic exorcism against priests, against the devil. Yeah. And let's go. It's against God, the devil in God, but the devil in a person, an innocent person, and God through priests.
Right.
And that's the battle. Yeah, I didn't see it as, even though I did say I'd totally become Catholic if I knew for a fact that this was real.
No, but I know what you mean because it is like very scary. If you witnessed this with your fucking eyeballs and you saw all of this happen, you would be like, get me that fucking rosary, bro.
100%.
Yes. I need to be protected. Yeah. So I asked all that to just bring us to like the themes, because I think like not the themes necessarily, but the reception to the themes of it. So I have this note: Eugene Kennedy, another Loyola priest and psychologist, described the film's view of the battle of good and evil as immature. Being a Christian and a mature person means coming to terms with our own capacity for evil, not projecting it on an outside force that possesses us.
Okay. Like, go write a fucking book or dissertation about it. It's a movie. It's a movie. It's an idea. Just.
I agree, but I did like that. I do like that viewpoint in general, because I'm not a religious person. And I do think, I've said this before, like with people who are like serial killers or whatever, like attributing pure evil or the devil to somebody who just does something that's bad is like, yeah, you're taking that and you're projecting it onto something else rather than like dealing with the person itself. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that too. And we've talked about that, I think, with the Night Stalker. We're talking about the evil and how pure evil and what is evil.
Totally. But I agree, like in as a critical reception of this movie, it is sort of like, okay, just let him do it.
Just let us be scared. Whole different movie if it was about internal struggles of darkness and light.
Totally.
Not as successful, I guarantee it.
Yeah. I also thought this was interesting. In February of 1974, the Jesuit magazine America ran several commentaries and responses by priests to the film. The editors allowed Blatty to respond later that month. He praised some of the commentators' points, but was disappointed by some misconceptions of the film held by both critics and defenders. The changes to the film's ending from the novel, Blatty agreed, might have made it harder to perceive that the mystery of goodness was the theme of the work. It appeared to him that for many viewers, including some of the America writers, the film ended with the demon triumphant through the deaths of the priests despite being exorcised from Reagan. The ending of the novel made this clearer, but even in the film, he saw Karras's suicide as a sacrificial act of love that reaffirmed his faith.
Oh, I like that.
I know, it's kind of nice.
Oh, I liked that a lot.
And so again, like, I don't know, maybe this guy's gone around and said a bunch of stuff about like how he was trying to like have it, turn people to the church. But in the end, I feel like it's not super, I don't know. It doesn't make me roll my eyes. And I think that's why it still holds up today.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. I have like a few more things on some of the themes if you want me to get into it, but I can cut it off there.
No, it's up to you. Is it good?
There's too much about this movie, dude. Like, that's the thing is.
It's fun. It could be multiple parts. Oh,
trivia.
The Patreon exclusive video that I have.
Also.
I have it up over here and I'm pointing at it. And it's just like, yes.
Okay, so yeah, I'll just run through the themes like real quick. Because I think there's like a few things happening, obviously. And there's one that I just put in here because I thought it was kind of funny. So firstly, critics and scholars attributed The Exorcist box office success to social anxiety following the cultural, political, and social upheavals of the late 1960s. There was like Watergate, the Summer of Love, and I think people were real scared about free sex and like civil rights. And
so were they demonizing sex and demonizing... Oh, they were demonizing sex and all of this. Yes. Is that what you're saying? And so like this free love sort of thing?
Not necessarily. I think that you can take a look at the societal, feeling at the time. And I think people were scared of that. And that's why this movie was so effective. I don't think that the movie itself was trying to be like I mean, maybe it was, but it didn't specifically deal with any of that.
Because the Satan likes sex.
Right.
Right. Because Satan is the one that's like overtly sexual and evil.
Yeah, and there is that the worst scene, I feel like, of the entire movie.
Yes.
The
crucifix. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like this was well said. People do call this a masturbation scene, but in that Faculty of Horror episode I listened to, they mentioned this is not a masturbate. Like, it's like you don't want to call it that because that's not what's happening. It is
I almost said a crucifix rape scene.
Yeah, okay, that would be a better description.
Yeah, that's why I paused, because it was pretty intense, but that was not, especially if you're thinking about this, it is not this demon's body.
Right. Yes.
You know,
yeah.
so masturbation gives me a whole different, if you were to say this crucifix masturbation scene, I have a different picture in my head than crucifix rape scene. Okay, two totally different pictures in my head.
Very different vibes.
It was not masturbation.
No, that's well said though, because it is rape in the way that it is not she's not in control of her body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine being this kid and then like I know they said that you don't remember it, but imagine being your mom. You're just like always watching her, like hardcore Catholic. I'm just telling you, Sunday school, everything. None. Maybe your career path is a nun. I'm just saying, I know you don't remember anything, but you don't want to risk it. I think you should be a nun.
Guess what? We're both nuns now.
Yeah, we're both going to be nuns, cloistered nuns. And that's that.
Yes. Okay, one of my other notes is commentators have seen the film in which a single working mother and her uncontrollable daughter are rescued by patriarchal authority as a reaction against feminism.
Oh, I don't like this.
I know, I don't like it either.
No.
And I did pick up on this a little bit in the movie, is because the father isn't around, and it is sort of like these men coming in to like save the day, and so like that, you know,
that
theme wise, I don't love it.
Yeah, I don't like that at all, because specifically I saw the mom as very powerful. First of all, they are wealthy. She has an assistant. She has some woman cooking for her and a man taking care of the house. She has staff, is what I'm trying to say. She has a really nice home in a nice area. She has staff working for her. She's obviously a famous actress. She's super bossy and pushy. And at first you're just like, dude, she is kind of, you know, she's like, She is very confident and in control. So I didn't even see her as needing rescuing. Even when she was screaming at her husband, I can't believe you're not calling her on her birthday. I thought to myself, you're just making your daughter feel worse. Like I thought, you know, but she seems very much like she has made a life for her and her daughter, and the guy isn't even in the picture. Okay, so that's that piece. Second piece, priests are men. Today, priests are men. There are not women Catholic priests. So, of course, they're going to be men that come in to do the exorcism. Or who's going to do the exorcism? If you had two women dressed like priests come in to do the exorcism, this is not believable, because that doesn't even exist today.
Yeah. Well, and I think the fact that it's set in the 70s, you know, of course they weren't. But I think that's why I don't disagree with this read of the movie, because that is the vibe I get from it. Like, yeah, and to go back to your first point, yes, she is successful. She's got staff and all of that. And there's still like, you know, a gap in the family.
It's the devil.
That may allow for the devil to come into Regan. And so that one I did feel. I did feel while I'm watching this movie.
You think, I see, because there's not a complete family unit with a father, that made Regan vulnerable.
Yeah, that's kind of the insinuation, is that.
Oh, I didn't catch that. I thought it was completely because there was some kind of link between the father, because when he was watching the whole thing being taped at the school and kind of made eye contact with the actress, and then he walked away, that the weaknesses within the father, Father Karras, the weaknesses within, that's the young one, right? Sorry.
Yes. Yeah.
The weaknesses within Father Karras and his link, or his indirect link with this family, is what possibly made the demon choose this little girl. Oh. I didn't pick that it was the dad, but I like that take. That's interesting.
Interesting. I had never thought about that, but that's an interesting take too, because then that adds another list of the things that it could have been.
Because isn't that father the one that has the medallion? He was given that medallion. Oh no, the older father was wearing that medallion. Sorry, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I think he does give it to Father Karras at some point.
You're right. Okay.
Because he dies with it on him, and then Father Dyer takes it. So many fathers in this movie. Yeah, I hear all of what you're saying.
I hear what you're saying too, though, because if they're saying, like, especially back in the day with the free love and our children are going wild and the disintegration of a traditional family unit.
Yeah.
That is evil, or that could allow evil.
Yeah, it could have opened the door for it. And I don't know that the movie is saying for a fact that that's what was the cause of it, but it does feel like because the people who have to come in and solve this problem, setting aside that obviously there are only male priests, but they are males, like men coming in to solve the problem, did feel like, I don't know.
Okay, interesting. That is an interesting take. I totally see what you're saying. I didn't get that only because priests exorcise. Catholic priests are the only ones that do exorcisms or that were known in the past. I'm sure there are other, but that have like the book on exorcism, the Catholic book on how to do it and all of that sort of thing. And you just attribute demon possession with exorcism with Catholic priests, and those are men.
And that is exactly the situation. So yeah, who knows? Maybe this is looking too much into it,
It's fun though. It's a fun look.
Yeah. Which on that note, I feel like my last one is going too far into it.
Okay.
I was like, what? Okay. This says Australian film studies professor Barbara Creed in The Monstrous Feminine, which inaugurated psychoanalytical feminist film theory, counters the prevailing feminist take on The Exorcist by insisting that Pazuzu is female, and thus the possession of Regan is itself a feminist act, exposing the inability of the male order to control the woman whose perversity is expressed through her rebellious body. And then it says, which all of that, great, loved it.
Yeah,
I knew you'd love it.
So cool. Yes.
And then the next line says, as she navigates an incestuous desire for her mother.
Oh.
What? What movie?
Okay.
Did you watch?
I do think that there were moments where the little girl was like, hey, like the way they were interacting. I thought that's a little odd. The girl seems like she's being a little flirtatious, but I thought it was just her acting. Or I thought they were trying to make her overly sweet.
That's what I thought.
Sweet. Yeah. But I did think there were a couple moments of their interactions where it felt like I do remember thinking, she seems like she's flirting with her mom, but I don't think that's what's supposed to come across, is what I thought.
Okay. So maybe there's something back there. I was like so thrown off. I was like reading and I was like, yeah. I was like, okay, I like this. I was like, yeah, Pazuzu's female. Like, I can get on board. And then it was like, because she wants to have sex with her mom. And I was like, what fucking movie did you watch, bro? Because that's a different movie than what I watched.
I did not get the vibe at all, though, that was even just one interaction that I thought for a moment was interesting. That made me think that. Other than that, not at all.
Okay.
And I looked up Pazuzu, and I wonder where she came up with that, that he or that Pazuzu was female, or she's just, Pazuzu is the king of demons in Mesopotamian mythology, not a fallen angel. He predates Abrahamic religions by quite a bit. He is a god of wind and storm and famine and drought, just like you mentioned. So I'm wondering, I wonder where she found that he was actually probably a girl.
I don't know. I mean, I could send the, again, I didn't do much more research in this. I just pulled this from like a larger text about the themes and how different people like read them.
Oh yeah, because listen to this. As a apotropaic entity, he was considered as both a destructive and dangerous wind, but also a repellent to other demons, one who would safeguard the home from their influence. In particular, he was protective of pregnant women and mothers whom he could defend from the machinations of the demoness Lamashtu, his rival. So his rival was actually a female demon that wanted to hurt pregnant women and mothers. Oh, this is so interesting.
Whoa, weird.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that if there's a reason why that person, or if it's just like a thought experiment, or like a different theme lens that you can kind of say,
what if Pazuzu was female? Yeah.
And then the story is all about, you know, a rebellious woman. And I also read something about like the site of horror being this like woman's body, this girl's body. And I think that's interesting. That's an interesting take, and how you can see. I definitely also picked up on the like, you know, it feels like it's this extrapolation of puberty and coming into your own as a woman, and how scary that is for people around you, especially like men, you know? So.
I've definitely been just like her.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Oh my God. Tawny actually I was so sick, and she's like, how do you feel? And I said, I feel like the girl from The Exorcist. We were laughing. I was sending pictures back. We were sending little gifts back and forth. Tawny was like, the power of Christ compels you. The power of Christ compels you. And I'm like, I hope it works. I hope it works.
Are we ready to rate this movie?
Yes, we are.
All right. Okay, do you want to go first?
Yeah. I am going to give this movie a 4.89.
Ooh, okay. Hi. Almost a 5.
I know. Because when I watched it at the end, I was like, I love this movie. This is really great. It really held up. I enjoyed it. I thought it was creepy. This is really great. This was a movie where I was like, I could see why this is a cult classic. This is really cool. And, you know, Steve was like, oh yeah, I would rate this like a 4.8. And I'm like, really? And I'm like, well, then what stops from rating it a 5? And he goes, well, I don't rate things 5. I'm like, yeah, I get it.
Right. Okay.
But what would stop me from rating it a 5? But I think through our conversation is like, because that whole janky cop plot, that not knowing where I was, like where the director flew out the window, some different things like that I don't think I could give it a 5 because of that. I was on the verge of a 4.9, but I thought a 4.89 is high and nice, and it gives enough wiggle room for other things that may be better.
Yeah. Okay. All right. 4.85. Almost perfect score.
Almost.
And a perfect score from Steve as far as he's concerned.
Yes, exactly. All right, Tawny, how about you?
I think I'm going to do 4.25.
Ooh, that's really good score from you.
Yeah, I really, obviously, like we talked about it, I do love this movie. I think it holds up really well. I think it holds up better than a lot of older movies. But like you said, I have some problems. I think the editing and the pacing is like weird. I think we could have lost the entire detective subplot. I also think there's just like a little bit too much happening. Again, I know I'm viewing this through now 2023 eyes, so it's, you know, different. It was different. But those kind of things like kind of annoyed me, and a little bit of the overacting. I can excuse it because it doesn't throw me way out of the movie, but yeah. I mean, but there still has to be something said for like how scary of a movie this is for so many generations. It's for decades. I mean, this really holds up. There's really something to that. And so I have to give it the credit that it's due.
I like it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, everyone, thank you so much. I don't think we mentioned this, but for October, we're going to continue with we're going to be doing 2 episodes this month. This is unprecedented for us. We usually do way much more, but with travel and everything, you know the deal. But so what we're doing is an Exorcist focused. We did The Exorcist, as you just listened. And then next, we're going to do the brand new Exorcist. The Exorcist, is it Believer? I just make that up. Okay. The Exorcist Believer. I have the lowest of low expectations going into this movie. So We'll see. Can't wait to see.
Me too.
Like a low. I want to go see Saw more than I want to see I want to
Me
see Saw
too.
in general. I'm hearing really great things about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's got the highest rating of all of the Saw movies. And so I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're giggling because Zoom keeps giving us a thumbs up bubble.
Yeah, every time I like just have my hand up, it's like, ooh, Felicia wants to do a thumbs up. I might sneak away and go watch Saw myself. My husband has to go into the office next week, and so I just might go watch it. Yeah. But anyways, that's beside the point. Maybe that'll be November or something. But anyway, if you like us, we like you too. Please go find us on Instagram at 2 Chicks and a Horror Flick, or you can search for us on your favorite social media platform at 2 Chicks and a Horror Flick, and we'll be there. What else, Tawny?
You can support the show by giving us a like, review, and subscribe on whatever podcatcher you're listening to us on. But that's it. So we'll see you next time with Exorcist Believer, and we hope you have such a good night. No nightmares.